You're listening to Four Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast.
Today is Monday, July 6th. I'm Johnny Kahner. Thank you for listening and watching to Four Things to Know today. Let's get to our top story, and it's a tragic one. Police say a teen was shot and killed at a North Metro park. It happened just before 11 o'clock last night. Jason Rantala went out to Brooklyn Park and spoke with one neighbor, Brian Turk. Here's his report from about noon today.
The Brooklyn Park police are now telling us this was a 16-year-old boy that was shot and killed here at Hartkopf Park. Just about an hour ago, we saw police and a canine walking this grassy area here. But let's take you to what it looked like last night when our cameras captured Hennepin County deputies on the scene. Police say they arrived and tried to save the boy's life, but sadly died from his injuries. A bit ago, we spotted two officers and a canine here at the park. I spoke with a neighbor who lives close by. He says he saw a group of 10 or so people lighting off fireworks last night. It's 4th of July weekend, so he didn't pay much attention.
There was people at the gazebo shelter area, and then there were fireworks being let off, all night, and so that was all I heard, saw, and then it was just flashing lights after 11 o'clock when I woke up.
Now, that neighbor you just heard from, Brian, said this is normally a very quiet park, even after night. There have been no arrests, but stay with WCCO for the latest on this story.
Number two, there was a spike in deadly drownings across Minnesota over the holiday weekend. Jeff Wagner has the update.
I'm heading out to cover a tough story right now for the Twin Cities across the holiday weekend. At least 2 drownings and potentially a third where a victim is still in the hospital. This all happening between Saturday night into Sunday. I'm on my way now to one of the locations to get some video, but the first one that happened Saturday was at Lake Ann in Carver County. We're told a man was in the water for at least 3 hours before dive teams were able to find him, his body. He died. Then later that night on Saturday in Minneapolis at Minnehaha Falls, there was a teenager, 16 years old, swimming in the water with his family. He went under for about 20 minutes before crews could pull him out and take him to the hospital. Last we heard, he's in critical condition. And then lastly, on Sunday night at Lake St. Croix Beach in Washington County, crews went out for a possible drowning. A 20-year-old was pulled out of the water. They tried to save his life, brought him to the hospital, but he also died. So 3 open water incidents, 2 of them resulting in drownings all across the holiday weekend. We're trying to find out the names of these victims, when that information is going to be released, if there was anything that led up to these drowning incidents in particular, if there was someone getting hurt, someone was on a boat. Again, this was a holiday weekend. It's still hot out, so a lot of people are going to be on the water continuously. So we're also going to remind our viewers about open water dangers, because all of these incidents happen on open water. That's what we're working on for our story.
Your third thing to know, it has been 10 years since Philando Castile was shot and killed by a St. Anthony police officer during a traffic stop for a busted taillight. And to this day, his community and his mother keep his memory alive. The site where Philando lost his life has been turned into a garden. Philando was a nutrition services supervisor at J.J. Hill Montessori Magnet School in St. Paul. And because of how he cared for his students there, his mother, Valerie, started the Philando Castile Relief Foundation. She raised funds to pay off cafeteria debt for kids who can't afford school lunch. And her work led to Governor Tim Walz signing a bill providing a basic breakfast and lunch to every kid in the state. And we talked with her about that back in 2024.
Because of the things that Philando did, being at school early enough to help the children with disabilities get off the bus and make sure all the kids were fed, even though he paid out of his pocket sometimes. That was important for me to rally for food insecurities within our school systems.
The annual Central Honors Philando event is scheduled for August 23rd this year. It's from 1 to 5 at Dunning Park in St. Paul, and it's a family-friendly event to celebrate his life and also raise money for a scholarship in his name. That scholarship is awarded every year to a St. Paul Central High School senior. According to the website, because of Philando's passion for working with children, the scholarship is typically awarded to a student who intends to pursue a career in education, but all students are welcome to apply and will be considered. And this year, for the very first time, the scholarship will recur for up to 4 years for a total potential award of $20,000. This will be the 10th scholarship awarded since his death 10 years ago. Number 4, a group of hospice nurses are going on strike. 65 Allina hospice nurses are walking off the job after negotiations for a first union contract stalled. They're striking today outside of Abbott Northwestern Hospital and Allina Commons, where the SEIU Healthcare Minnesota and Iowa members are striking. Union representatives say this will be a one-day strike. Nurses say they're continuing to bargain for their first contract. Negotiations have been taking place for the past year. Allina Health has responded, saying it's disappointed by the decision to strike, but also saying, quote, "We know the bargaining table is the best place to reach an agreement," close quote. They add patient care is top priority and they are prepared for the strike. And if changes are needed for the patient, they will contact them directly. This strike does not include hospitals, primary and urgent care clinics, or specialty clinics. Those are your 4 things to know today. Let's get a check-in now on our next weather forecast.
Hi, I'm next weather meteorologist Lisa Meadows. It's going to be warm as we head into tonight, down to 71. A couple of thunderstorms rolling through for the overnight hours. Tomorrow, hot again, back up to 90 with humidity. More storms in the forecast later tomorrow.
And now, here's more to know.
Still no arrests after separate shootings this weekend in Minneapolis, including one near a park where a man died. That deadly shooting happened around 1 a.m. on Sunday near Northeast Park. Officers say the man died after they tried life-saving measures. Investigators are still trying to figure out what led to that deadly shooting. And just 2 hours later in Northeast Minneapolis, 2 people were shot, including a teenager. That happened near 1600 Broadway. First responders took a gunshot victim to the hospital with critical injuries. An injured 17-year-old also arrived later. He is expected to survive. MPD's interim chief says the 4th of July is usually a busy time, and this year was certainly no exception. He adds the department, quote, "will not tolerate violence in our community." He went on to say they are committed to finding the people responsible for these shootings. We'll, of course, keep you updated on those investigations. New data from Protect Minnesota show firearm deaths in the state declined slightly last year, but suicide continues to be the leading cause of gun-related deaths. According to an analysis of Minnesota Department of Health data, 549 people died from firearm-related injuries in 2025. That was down from 564 the year before. The report found firearm homicides dropped nearly 20%, falling from 148 deaths in 2024 to 119 last year. But firearm suicides increased, rising from 406 to 424 deaths. Suicides now account for more than 3/4 of all firearm deaths across the state. The data also shows more than half of those who died by suicide by firearm lived in greater Minnesota, while nearly 70% of firearm homicide victims lived in the Twin Cities metro. Protect Minnesota says the numbers highlight the need for continued investments in suicide prevention, mental health resources, and community violence intervention programs. If you or someone you know is in emotional distress, get help from the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988. Again, those 3 digits, 988. Another story we're following today, an all too familiar scene in the Minneapolis metro. We saw windows broken and rummaged cars up and down 3rd and Monroe. That's in Northeast. And we've covered smash and grabs across the city for months now. You probably remember a bunch of those stories. We have updated numbers for you. Nearly 3,600 reports of damage to property. That's up about 100 reports from last year. As for stolen cars, the city of Minneapolis reports over 2,900, also up from the year prior. But it's not just in Minneapolis. We actually saw a Ring camera video that if you're watching us on YouTube right now, you can see. That Ring camera video shows people running from car to car at around 5 a.m. in St. Louis Park. More than a dozen cars were hit by burglars on Sunday morning. The city says officers took 18 reports of vehicle tampering and stolen property along a 3-block stretch, and they added that the investigation is still ongoing, and residents actually shared their frustrations with us.
Obviously, it's expensive to repair, and you don't know who did it. We all have Ring cameras, but since it was most of them were on the street, only a few people caught, just glimpses of it.
And this needs to stop. The police needs to really do something about it.
One of the neighbors did start fundraising to support all the people who need repairs after the holiday weekend. Let's talk sports. You've probably heard about this by now. A major announcement from FIFA is completely changing the United States momentum going into tonight's World Cup matchup. U.S. men's national team star Folarin Balogun will play despite receiving a red card in the last game. Still a lot of questions surrounding that reversal, but a spokesperson tells CBS News that U.S. Soccer was engaged in the process of getting him back on the pitch for tonight's match. And shortly after the decision from FIFA, President Trump reacted on Truth Social, thanking FIFA for, quote, doing what was right and reversing a great injustice. Now, according to the New York Times, Trump called Gianni Infantino, that's the president of FIFA. He did so directly days ago and asked the FIFA president to review the one-game suspension. And men's team star player Christian Pulisic reacted to that change.
He's obviously super happy, man. This is what exactly you want to be able to play in games like this. It's just a big smile on his face, and all of ours for him. He deserves it.
But tonight's opponents are not happy about the decision. In a statement, the Royal Belgium Football Association says it's astonished, calling this surprise decision a direct contradiction with the provisions of the 2026 World Cup regulations. The team added that they are investigating all potential options. Now, for details on tonight's matchup, it's the round of 16. Winner goes on, loser goes home. USA versus Belgium, 7 o'clock in Seattle. A lot of storylines around it. Should be a great watch tonight. Minnesota Lynx back in action tonight at Target Center. The Connecticut Sun are in town. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock. Now, this is the first game of a two-game series. After tonight, they'll actually hit the road for a matchup in Connecticut on Wednesday. And to some baseball news, the Twins actually won a series in the Bronx. Minnesota's recent offensive surge has them ranked number 1 in the American League in runs scored. Now, the Twins, 3 games under 500 right now, 44-47, just a game and a half out of the playoffs, though. So hopefully they can keep winning some ball games. Off tonight, they're back in action tomorrow. They host Cleveland.
It's time to take a breath with your Daily Bright Spot.
Well, if you thought a heat index of 100 at Coney Island could stop the hot dog eating tradition, you were wrong. Yeah, every July 4th, of course, Nathan's hot dog eating contest and the mustard belt you may have seen captured yet again by competitive eater Joey Chestnut. I'm not surprised by that. He's literally insane. 66 dogs and buns, of course, 10 minutes. That's all it took him. Oh my gosh, that's disgusting. 10 shy, though, of 76 dogs he ate back in 2021, which set a world record. He's won the iconic Nathan's contest 18 times. Yuck. I mean, 18 times 60 or 70. I don't even want to know how many hot dogs that is. And the women's winner was Miki Sudo once again. 12th win in the women's category for her. She ate 38 3/4 hot dogs and buns. Ugh, guys, what are we doing? I get it. It's a great tradition, but I won't watch that. I respect UFC fighters as well, but that grosses me out when people are getting beat up. This is the same category for that. I have zero desire. I do like a hot dog, but if you're going to watch that and then eat a hot dog at a barbecue, that just doesn't go together. People have their passions, though. Who am I to judge? Well, I'm Johnny Kahner. This has been 4 Things to Know. We are here with the news you need every weekday afternoon by 3 o'clock. Thanks so much for listening today, for checking us out, of course, on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.
Listen to 4 Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Love podcasts? Love Minnesota?
Check out the WCCO podcast studio lineup.
Hear the top stories of the day with 4 Things to Know.
Discover top female athletes and teams from around the state on women in sports.
Dive into stories about faith and belief, from your local leaders to your neighbors next door, with bigger than belief.
Stay in the know on the go with the WCCO podcast studio. Go to WCCO.com/podcasts.